There are places in this world where the sky goes wrong all at once, where the stars stop moving, where the air gets heavier than it should be, where something is waiting and it's all learning your name. Tonight, three people who looked up will tell you what they found. A truck driver in Nevada who was followed for 40 miles by an orange orb that matched his speed, silent, hovering 50 feet above, then dropped and vanished without a sound. A camper in Oregon's deep woods who watched a white beam descend from nothing and 4 trees dissolve into ash in 10 seconds. His legs wouldn't move. His breath wouldn't come. And a farmer in Zimbabwe who opened his door at midnight to 3 children with eyes completely black, no iris, no pupil, who said there were no police, only them, and if you let them in, you wouldn't come out. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and remember, never look up when the sky goes wrong, because something out there is collecting witnesses. Story 1, the desert light that followed. Jackson Millers had been driving the salt flats between Wendover and Wendell for 23 years. He knows every ditch, every rusted fence post, every place the radio dies. He knows the desert doesn't give you second chances. You learn that fast when you're hauling cattle through Dugway proving ground at night, when the wind kicks up dust so thick you can't see your own hood, when the temperature drops 40 degrees in an hour, and your brakes start screaming like something's chasing you. He's been a driver since 1998. He's seen things. Strange lights, military test flares, weird atmospheric reflections that make the sky look like it's bleeding, but nothing like what he saw on November 14, 2023. Nothing that made his heart stop. Nothing that made him drive home the other way. Nothing that made him never go back. 1:47 a.m. He was 3 miles past the old mine, just east of the Dugway proving ground boundary. The kind of place where cell phones don't work, and the nearest town is 40 minutes if you're not bleeding. His truck was a 2007 Ford, and he was 23 years old. Rust on the fenders. The kind of vehicle that doesn't stop breaking down until it's finally dead. The kind of vehicle that makes you feel alone. His passenger was his nephew, Tyler. 18 years old, fresh out of high school, nervous about everything. Jackson had picked him up from the airport in Elko. Tyler had never seen the desert at night. He'd never seen salt flats that stretched for miles, that it looked like the world ended and someone just poured white paint over everything. He'd never seen the way the stars look out here. Too bright, too close, like they were watching you, like they were waiting. "We're almost there," Jackson said, "just past the ridge." Tyler was staring out the window. His voice was small. "Do you see that?" Jackson slowed. 20 yards ahead, floating maybe 50 feet above the salt, was an orange light. Not blinking, not pulsing, just there, like a cigarette ember held in someone's hand. But it wasn't moving, it wasn't flickering, it was just hovering, perfectly still, like it was waiting for something. "Jesus," Tyler whispered. "Is that a plane?" "No engine," Jackson said. He watched it for 10 seconds. The light didn't move, it didn't flicker. It just hung there, perfectly still, 50 feet above nothing. 50 feet above a place where nothing should be able to float. Jackson put the truck in drive. He wasn't going to stop. He'd seen weird things out here, military test flares, searchlights from the base, weird atmospheric reflections. But this was different. This wasn't anything he'd seen before. This was something that didn't belong. When they crossed the light's position, it didn't pass them. It moved with them. Jackson's hands tightened on the wheel. His knuckles were white. His heart was screaming. "Tyler, check the GPS." Tyler fumbled with his phone. "It says we're doing 42 miles an hour. Jackson looked at the speedometer. 42. He hadn't touched the gas. His foot was still on the brake. The truck was moving without him driving it. The light stayed 50 feet above them. 50 feet, same distance, same height. They accelerated to 50. The light accelerated, 70. The light accelerated. It matched everything they did, like it was learning, like it was studying them. "Uncle Jackson," Tyler said. His voice was shaking. "What is that?" Jackson didn't answer. He was watching the light through the rear window now. It was still there, behind them, 50 feet above the salt, moving at their speed, matching everything they did, like something that knew how to track. They drove for 40 miles. The light never blinked, never changed, never got closer or farther. It just followed, like something is learning how they moved, learning how fast they went, learning how to find them again. At the Elko exit, Jackson pulled over. He killed the engine. The light was still there, hovering above the road, 50 feet up, still waiting, still watching. Tyler's phone died. The GPS screen went black. Jackson's radio started screaming static, the kind that makes your ears hurt, the kind that sounds like voices underneath the noise, voices that weren't human. "Turn it off," Tyler said. Jackson turned the key. The radio kept screaming. The light dropped. Not smoothly, it just fell, like someone dropped a floating balloon. It hit the ground maybe 300 yards ahead and disappeared. No sound, no explosion, just gone, like it was never there. But Jackson knew it was. Jackson put the truck in reverse. He didn't care about the rules. He didn't care about anything. He backed up fast, tires kicking salt. And when he turned around, he was going the other way. He wasn't going home. He wasn't going anywhere near that light. They didn't talk about it until they got to Tyler's apartment. Jackson parked in the lot and sat there for 20 minutes, hands on the wheel, staring at nothing. His heart was still screaming. His hands were still shaking. "Uncle Jackson?" Tyler said. "You're scaring me." Jackson looked at him. "You remember what I told you about the desert? Yeah, that it's empty." "It's not empty," Jackson said. "It's just waiting." He drove home that night on the other side of the state, 30 miles longer, twice as long. But he didn't go back near the pot flats. He hasn't gone back since. 3 weeks later, Tyler called him. "There's something on the news about lights in Nevada." Jackson didn't want to hear it, but he did. The report said 3 ranchers had seen the same thing. An orange orb, hovering, following their vehicles for 40 miles. No sound, no engine, no explanation. They called it a meteor, a satellite reflection, atmospheric distortion. Jackson knew what it was. He hasn't driven the salt flats since. He won't go past the ridge. He won't go near the Dugway boundary. He hauls cattle on the other side of the state now. Takes twice as long, pays half as much. But he doesn't go back. Sometimes at night when he's lying in bed, he thinks about that light, 50 feet above the salt, perfectly still, waiting, watching. And he wonders if it's still there, watching, learning how we move, how fast we go, how long we last. He wonders if it's waiting for someone who won't turn around, someone who'll keep driving, someone who'll let it get closer. And he wonders what happens when it does, when it finally gets close enough, when it finally decides what it wants, what it takes. And he's never slept well since. Story 2, the Forest Beam Encounter. Marcus Hale was camping alone in the Oregon Cascades. He'd done it before, 6 times over the past 3 years. He knew the trails. He knew which campsites had clean water. He knew the weather patterns. He knew which parts of the forest were quiet and which parts had cougars. He knew the sounds of the night, the wind in the trees, the birds at dawn, the way the leaves moved when something was watching. He was wrong about everything. January 3rd, 2024, 10:12 p.m. Marcus was at Camp 14, a small loop off the main ridge trail. He'd been there for 2 days. The forest was quiet, no rain, no wind, just the sound of pine needles falling. The temperature was dropping. He could feel it in his bones, the kind of cold that settles into your joints and makes you remember every injury you've ever had, the kind of cold that makes you feel alone. He was sitting in front of his tent, drinking coffee, watching the fire. The flames were small, orange, licking at the edges of the wood. He could hear the trees around him, not moving, just standing, watching, like they were waiting for something to happen. Something moved in the trees. Marcus froze. He'd heard stories about mountain lions, about cougars, about things that didn't show up until they were already behind you. He'd heard stories about people who went camping alone and never came back. He'd heard stories about the forest eating people, about trees that moved when you weren't looking, about shadows that followed you. "Hey," he said. He wasn't sure who he was talking to. "I'm right here." The trees didn't answer. He stood up. His flashlight was in his hand. He clicked it on. The beam cut through the darkness, 10 feet, maybe 12. It hit the trees, dark bark, pine needles, nothing moving, but he could feel something. Watching, waiting. He took a step forward. The beam hit something white. It was a beam of light, not from his flashlight, not from the moon. It was coming from above. A vertical column, maybe 6 feet wide, descending from the sky. It was white, too white, like someone had turned on a hospital light in the middle of the forest, like something that didn't belong in nature at all, like something that was never meant to be seen. Marcus couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. The beam was maybe 30 feet away. He could see the trees inside it. They were black, not dark, black, like someone had burned the color out of them, like the light was eating the color and leaving nothing behind, like life was being pulled out of them. The beam touched the ground. Marcus heard a sound, not a crash, not a boom. It was the sound of something dissolving, like paper burning, like wood turning to ash, like life leaving something that was still ablaze, like something was being taken. The trees around the beam, 4 of them, maybe 5, blackened instantly. Their bark turned to ash. Their branches crumbled. In less than 10 seconds, they were gone. Just piles of black dust on the ground. No smoke, no fire, just death, just emptiness. Marcus ran. He didn't think so. He didn't pack his tent. He didn't grab his gear. He ran. His boots hit the ground. His heart was screaming. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't stop. He just kept moving until he hit the trail. He ran for 20 minutes, maybe 30. He didn't know. He just kept moving until his legs stopped working, until he couldn't feel his feet, until he had to stop, until he collapsed. When he got to his car, he called 911. The operator said there was no emergency service in that area. He said he'd call the forest ranger. The ranger came 2 hours later. Marcus was sitting in his car, shaking, unable to speak. His hands were on the steering wheel. He couldn't move them. He couldn't make them let go. "What happened?" the ranger asked. Marcus pointed back toward the trail. Something fell. A beam. It burned the trees. The ranger looked at him. "You're talking about a UFO?" "I'm talking about something," Marcus said. "It came from the sky. It touched the ground. And the trees, they just died." The ranger didn't go back with him. He said he'd report it. He said they'd send someone tomorrow. Marcus didn't wait. He drove out of the forest. He drove 300 miles. He didn't stop until he was in Portland. He didn't stop until he was somewhere with people, somewhere with lights, somewhere where the sky wasn't full of things watching him. The next day, the forest ranger called him. "We found something," he said, "where you were camping." "What?" Marcus asked. 4 trees, the ranger said. "Dead, just dead. No fire, no explosion. They're black, like they were burned, but there's no burn mark, no smell, just ash." Marcus didn't go back. He packed up his camping gear. He sold it. He hasn't been in the woods since. Sometimes when he's driving at night, he sees lights in the sky, and he remembers that beam. White, too white, falling from nothing, touching the ground, killing everything it touched, taking everything it touched. And he wonders what else is out there, what else is waiting, what else will touch the ground, what else will it take. He wonders if it's watching him right now, right there in the sky, waiting for him to go back, waiting for him to be alone, waiting for the right moment. And he wonders if the trees are still black, if they'll ever be green again, if anything that touches that light comes back. And he hasn't slept well since. Story 3, the Black-Eyed Children Request. Raymond Cooper lived alone in a farmhouse outside of Ruwa, Zimbabwe. He was 62. He'd been there for 30 years. He knew the land, he knew the neighbors, he knew the sounds of the night, the wind in the fields, the birds at dawn, the way the dogs bark when something's wrong. He knew all of it. He was wrong about the children. September 16th, 1994. 11:47 p.m. Raymond was in his kitchen making tea. The house was quiet. The moon was full. He could hear the wind in the fields. The kind of wind that makes the grass move in waves. The kind of wind that sounds like something breathing, like something is walking. A knock at the door. Raymond froze. He didn't have visitors at night. He didn't expect anyone. The neighbors were 3 miles away. The road was empty. He lived alone. He always lived alone. He walked to the door. His hand was on the knob. He could feel the cold metal. He could feel his own pulse. Something was wrong. "Who is it?" he asked. 3 voices. "Children, can we come in?" Raymond opened the door. 3 kids stood there. 2 boys, 1 girl, maybe 8, 10, 12 years old. They were pale, too pale, like they hadn't seen sunlight for weeks, like they'd been living somewhere without windows, somewhere dark. Their skin was white, their hair was dark, their clothes were clean, too clean, like they'd never been outside, like they were never meant to be outside. "Are you lost?" Raymond asked. The girl spoke. "We need to come in." Her voice was wrong. It wasn't a child's voice. It was flat, monotone, like someone playing a recording, like someone who didn't know how to make their voice sound real, like someone who wasn't human. "Where are your parents?" Raymond asked. "They're not here," the boy said. His eyes were black, not dark, black, no iris, no pupil, just solid black, like someone had painted them with ink, like someone had taken away everything that made them human, like they were never children at all. Raymond felt something in his chest, a coldness, a fear he couldn't name, a feeling that made his stomach turn, a feeling that made him want to close the door and run, a feeling that said, "Don't let them in." "You can't come in," he said. The girl pitched up forward. "You have to let us in." Her voice was louder now, still flat, still wrong, still like a recording, still like something that wasn't human. Raymond backed up. "I'm calling the police." The boy smiled. It wasn't a child's smile. It was too wide, too many teeth, too many angles. "There are no police," he said. "There's only us." Raymond closed the door. He locked it. He ran to the kitchen. He grabbed his phone. He called the local station. The operator said, "There's no one out there. It's just you." Raymond looked at the window. The children were still there, standing in the dark, watching him. Their faces were visible through the grass and their black eyes were visible. They weren't moving. They weren't talking. They were just waiting, just watching, just waiting for him to open the door. "They're not leaving," he said. "Who?" the operator asked. "3 kids," Raymond said. "They're at my door. They won't leave." The operator laughed. "Raymond, it's midnight. There's no one there." Raymond looked at the window. The children were still there. The girl's black eyes were visible through the glass. They were looking at him, waiting, still waiting. "They're right here," he said. The operator said, "I'm sending someone." 20 minutes later, a car pulled up. 2 officers stepped out. They walked to the door. Raymond opened it. The children were gone. "Where did they go?" Raymond asked. The officers looked at him. "There was no one here, Raymond." "But they were here," he said. 3 kids. Their eyes were black. They wouldn't leave. The older officer nodded. "We've heard this before." "Hear what?" Raymond asked. "Black-eyed children," the officer said. "They show up. They knock. They ask to come in. And if you let them in," he didn't finish. He didn't have to. Raymond didn't sleep that night. He sat in his kitchen watching the door. He didn't close his eyes. He didn't move. He just watched. He waited for them to come back. He waited for another knock. He waited for another voice. He waited for the door to open. The next morning, he drove to the police station. He asked about the black-eyed children. The officer he talked to said, "There are stories. People see them. They knock. They ask to come in. Some people let them in. They don't come out." "Where do they come from?" Raymond asked. The officer didn't answer. Raymond left Zimbabwe 3 months later. He moved to Australia. He didn't tell anyone why. He didn't tell anyone about the children. He didn't tell anyone about their black eyes. He didn't tell anyone about the voice that wasn't a child's voice. He didn't tell anyone about the smile that wasn't human. Sometimes, at night when he's lying in bed, he hears a knock at the door. And he remembers those eyes. Black, solid, waiting, still waiting. And he wonders if they're still out there. Knocking, waiting for someone to answer. Waiting for someone who'll open the door. Waiting for someone who'll let them in. And he wonders what happens when they do. What they take, what they leave, what they are. and he hasn't slept well since. This has been Whisper Dread Studios. Some stories were never meant to be told, but we told them anyway.